Hey there guys, gals, non-binary pals, GM Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books and bookish things. I upload on Tuesdays and Thursdays with some sprinkled in here and there, like I have for today with Banned Books Week and the book All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. Let's get into it. Okay, so coming in with the book blurb. This is a Goodreads Choice Award nominee for Reader's Favorite Memoir and Autobiography of 2020. This book came out in April of 2020. It's 304 pages in hardback. And in a series of personal essays, prominent journalist and LGBTQIA+ activist George M. Johnson explores his childhood, adolescence, and college years in New Jersey and Virginia. From the memories of getting his teeth kicked out by bullies at the age of 5, to flea marketing with his loving grandmother, to his first sexual relationships, this young adult memoir weaves together the trials and triumphs faced by Black queer boys. Both a primer for teens eager to be allies as well as reassuring testimony for young queer men of color. All Boys Aren't Blue covers the topics such as gender identity, toxic masculinity, brotherhood, family, structural marginalization, consent, and Black joy. Johnson's emotionally frank style of writing will appeal directly to young adults. This one is a memoir in a series of personal essays. It's told in a few parts, and I think my favorite quote from this one was, "No amount of money, love, or support can protect you from a society intent on killing your Blackness and shows that a community that has been taught that anyone not straight is dangerous." I think that is a very powerful quote from the book. So this book takes on a bit of a narrative structure when it comes to memoir, which is one of the differences between memoir and autobiography. A memoir tells a story, whereas an autobiography attempts to tell the facts. This one was I would describe it as a powerful read. It is an important read. It's something that I feel like a lot of young adults and adolescents could see themselves in, regardless of race or gender identity or sexual orientation or expression. And this one was a little bit of a hard read in places, especially him getting his teeth kicked in at 5. That was not a sexually or racially motivated attack. It was just he and his cousins got jumped after school one day by some neighborhood bullies, and how that took away his smile because his front teeth grew in and they grew in crooked and they grew in bigger than the rest of his face, and it hurt to read. Like, I listened to this one as an audiobook. It's about 5 hours in audiobook format, and it's narrated by the author, by George Matthew Johnson, or George M. Johnson. He did a really good job of juxtaposing just the day-to-day experiences of youth with the big moments. His middle name is Matthew, and until he got to school, until he got to be a certain age, he thought his first name was Matthew because everybody calls him Matthew. That's what he went by. And then he gets to school one day and someone calls him George instead. And he has kind of an identity crisis for a moment. And his parents sit him down and they're like, "Hey, yes, your first name is George. You can go by George or Matthew. Pick one. We'll love you no matter what. We'll call you whatever you want us to call you." So from the beginning, he came from a very loving and accepting home in a way. And he talks about how the other kids were like thrown for a moment that this person that they knew as Matthew all of a sudden is now George. And it's like, okay, cool. But then they rolled with it and moved on. And he doesn't outright say and move on for bigger issues, bigger than just, hey, I went by my middle name, now I'm going by my first name. Like, you could extrapolate that out to children roll with bigger things, the more important things. And thinking back to my own childhood, that was the case. There was a pair of twins in my class growing up. They transferred to our school. And they had one last name, and then over the summer they changed last names when their mom got remarried and their stepdad adopted them. So they got a different last name. And this happened about fourth, fifth grade. By high school, no one remembered that they had had a previous last name, pretty much. Like, they knew because they were there for it. And a couple of people that were in their actual classroom when it happened between 4th and 5th grade knew like, could remember it. But, like, as a whole, like, the people that they were in school with, that they were in the same grade with, didn't remember. And didn't, because it didn't matter. Because they weren't so-and-so X anymore, now they were so-and-so Y. And so it didn't really matter. It didn't change that one of them was nicer than the other, that I'd rather be in a study group with one of them than the other one. It didn't change that they're both really good at football. It didn't change anything, just their last name, and that was fine. He talks about things in such a matter-of-fact way. Things like, there's a story he tells when he was in high school. He started, his uncle had a girlfriend who later became an aunt, I believe, who was Honey. Like, he called her Honey Girl, or Honey. And he started calling, and our author, our narrator, starts calling everybody Honey Girl. And everyone was like, ooh, this is scandalous. Like, and it actually got him into trouble because it didn't fit into the tight heteronormativity worldview of his Catholic high school. That it didn't fit in with what was expected of a young Black boy. That he was supposed to be a certain way and act a certain way and talk a certain way. And he wasn't doing that. And so he actually got in trouble at school, like with the school, in an official capacity. This book is a banned book, largely it's a challenged book, largely because of the frankness that it talks about sexual encounters and sexuality. And honestly, having read it, it's not anything more than what you would see on TV. It almost feels clinical in places when I was talking about sexual experiences and sexual relationships. And mostly it's talking about the feelings that you get and not the physical sensation of it. Like, it's talking more about the feelings. Like, the intended age group for this book is high school to college, right? People in those age groups have already seen worse on TV. They've probably read worse already. The only reason I think this book was banned for being explicit was because it happens to be about gay and queer person. That it's that deviation from the status quo, I think, is the real reason this book was banned. Because other books by, say, Sarah Dessen don't get banned or challenged. Other books by, say like The Duff, which is a work of fiction, but has teenagers sleeping around and doing all this, that, and the other. And Friends with Benefits relationships for high schoolers. Like, Pretty Little Liars has the same thing. Those books did. The TV show was worse. All of that. And those books aren't getting banned or challenged because they're holding up a heteronormativity that isn't present in this book. At least that's my opinion. That's what I'm getting from this, because it isn't any worse than fiction books that came out at the same time. Or came out earlier. That there are fiction books designed for a teen audience that I've read that are more explicit, that are more graphic. And frankly, this one wasn't one of those. I think it's the fact that it's nonfiction and it's non-heteronormative is the reason it got banned, honestly. Sexuality is an inherent part of who we are as people. It's an important part of who we are as a person, as an individual. And to say you can't express that openly, to say you should hide it away, is really kind of ridiculous, because straight people don't get beaten for walking down the street holding the hands of the person they love. It's that heteronormativity that's being pushed on us, and that lens of heteronormativity, I think, is what got this book challenged, and in some school districts banned. Have you read All Boys Aren't Blue? Have you read any really good, powerful memoirs or autobiographies? I'd love to read some that you thought were particularly good. Let me know in the comments. Are there any banned books that you've read that you read them and you're like, why was this banned? Like, there are so many books out there that are worse, that are more graphic, more explicit, more this, more that, more than the essence of why this book was banned. Like, I'd love to read through those. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy Banned Books Week, y'all. Bye.